Outlining your fields, beds, enclosures, and buildings is a great way to see an overview of your farm. The Farmbrite map provides an opportunity to look at your property from a different vantage point, sparking new ideas for field and crop layout, which might lead to improved efficiencies in land use. Beyond giving you that bird's eye view, mapping your farm can also help you determine acreage of your fields and connect to your animal enclosures and grazing locations to better track your livestock. In this video, we'll review how to make those mapped areas and connect them to your fields and enclosures, how to work with the map once they are set up, and even take a look at importing your map records from your existing GIS software. Let's go over to Farmbrite and see how. We'll start by navigating to Farm Map in the left-hand menu. You'll immediately see a bird's eye view of your property that uses Google Maps satellite imagery. You can use your mouse to zoom in and out, and you'll also see controls for that in the bottom right. You can hit the plus sign to zoom in, and then drag the map to get the exact view that you're looking for. You can also expand this to full screen if you'd like. Now, this map is where you can add fields, beds, animal enclosures, boundaries, buildings, and a lot more, which you can draw individually or import if you have GPS coordinates for your fields outside of the system. We'll look at drawing or importing your locations throughout this video, but first you might wonder about some of the basic settings of the map, like where it defaults to when you first access it. Let's choose Settings in the upper right, and we'll see fields for a business address. The map uses that data to pinpoint a location, but you can drag and drop this pin to configure the map to default to this location. This could be very useful if your address information is your business office, but you'd like the map to default to a different field. Alternatively, you'll see latitude and longitude GPS coordinates. You can set your map based on these, or if you remove the data from both of them, Farmbrite would then default your map to your specific location based on your device's GPS. So if you have many fields across different towns, counties, or states, you can leave this blank to have it default to your current location, wherever that may be. For our example, I'll add them back in, and then save. We'll go back to the farm map, and then zoom in to start mapping our fields. Your first step is to choose what type of place you'd like to add to the map. The order in which you add these is entirely up to you. Be aware that you can overlay locations on top of each other, like putting beds on top of a field, for example. Let's start by mapping our property boundary so that you can see how the drawing tool works. Notice that the mouse pointer has turned into crosshairs. We'll select our first point and click, and then draw a line to the other edge of our property. Each time we click, we'll place a point, helping us outline irregular shapes. I'll draw a few more to continue mapping. And then connect back to our first point to create the area. Note that the location is automatically created and saved. If you made any mistakes, you can choose to resize or move. We may have cut a little bit off the edge of our field here, so we can move one of the points, and then click anywhere else on the map to save our changes. You can click on the location again to bring up those same selections. Also, note that the software automatically calculated the square footage and acreage of the location we mapped. Now let's close this and select the next place to add to the map. Things like buffer zones or irrigation lines might come next. They're more of the blueprints or foundation to your property, and on the map they're generally used for information and visual purposes. Other options like enclosures, fields, and beds can be connected to other aspects of Farmbrite, so let's work with a field next. We might zoom in and move the map a bit to get a better view, and similar to mapping our property boundary, we'll start with a point, draw a line, add a few more points, and then connect it to define the area. Notice that this is a little bit different from defining the property boundary, in that you'll give the place a name and optionally connect it to an existing grow location. These grow locations can be configured under your plantings menu. If you've added them previously, they'll be available for you to select here. Or you can use the checkbox to create a new grow location and save, and we'll see the field created and labeled correctly. And when we click on it, we'll have the same options to edit or resize, and the same automatic area calculation, but you'll also see a link to the grow location, which brings you to the plantings menu, and lets you define additional details about the field we just created. Notice that there's also a selection here for map, which loads our map specific to this field. The sequence that you choose to create these is entirely up to you. You might define your grow locations first, and then map them all, or you might add them to the map and use that checkbox we just saw to create them as you map them. Now, the next step we might do is to create a bed. We'll use the familiar tool to draw the bed and connect it, where we'll see similar options for naming and connections. Since this bed is part of the southeast field, we'll select that and then pick from our list of beds. The bed configuration can be accomplished on the grow location page that we just looked at, so you can add as many beds as you need there and define their size, and then make the connection here. Now that we have the bed on top of the field, let's talk about the layers of the map. When I click on the bed, you'll see that it's actually bringing up the record for the field. If we want to bring the bed to the top, we might move the field backwards, and then click in the same spot to see information about the bed. You could think of this as layers. We could move the bed backwards, and click again, and we'll see the field. So if you're ever trying to click on a location and not getting exactly what you're expecting, you might move the layers to resort them, and then be able to access what you need. Now, we're not going to take the time in this video to map the entire farm, but I do want to show you a few different options. So let's go back to the menu to add another place, and this time we'll choose building. We'll move the map a little and then outline one of these. And see that this functions similarly to the property boundary or irrigation lines, in that you're not really connecting it to another record in Farmbrite, but you could still give it a unique name if you'd like. And the last one we'll work with is animal enclosures. Maybe this area on the east side is one of our paddocks. Let's outline it, connect it, and then edit the details to give it a name. Note that if you don't see your names connected immediately, refresh the page, and you'll see them updated. And of course, if you have a large farm with lots of areas to map, you might want to save some time and import your mapped locations. Similar to other areas of Farmbrite, you can start by downloading a template, which is a spreadsheet that comes preloaded with columns for the data that you can import. This could be very helpful if you already have your farmed map in different GIS software, perhaps something like Google My Maps. You may be able to export the GPS plot point coordinates from there, and then add them to this sheet, so that we can import them and save some time, rather than redrawing them in Farmbrite. We'll save this spreadsheet as a CSV file, and then go back to Farmbrite, where we can select it here, and then click Next. Since we use the templates, our fields are already mapped correctly to the existing fields in Farmbrite, so we'll import the data and see them added successfully. Now when we go back to the map, we'll see all of those places immediately mapped. Also note that there are some specific requirements for how that data needs to be imported, especially with the GPS coordinates. So if you're having any issues with it, be sure to check out our Help Center article, as it'll go a bit more in-depth to the specific formatting for those GPS polygons. And now that we have all types of places added to the map, be aware that you can set a type filter in the upper right to just see the type of places that you're looking for. We might see just our fields and beds, or maybe instead we just want to see our irrigation and boundaries. And you can also easily reset the filter to view all types again. Alright, that's going to take us through getting started with your map. Go ahead and start adding all of the areas, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions as you do. We're always happy to help. Thanks for watching.